So what's going on, everybody?
What's up, everyone?
We are here, awake, alive.
Yep.
And kicking.
And kicking.
We couldn't really decide on a topic today.
Yep.
So
we're going back to the cards.
We're going back to the cards. They were awesome last time. It flowed really well.
It was actually insane last time.
It's a big God thing. So
I thought about that for days after we recorded, thinking how crazy it was that the cards that we picked. If you don't know what we're talking about, go back and watch it. The subject matter that came up that day was ridiculous, and I couldn't believe that that's what we drew. So, but today we're gonna try it again. We're gonna go through. We'll see. I don't know if we'll go through all the colors again like we did last time, or if we will get into one that we really like. So.
Yeah, we'll go find out. So, random card picking today.
That's our categories.
We've got fancy categories.
Yep.
With fancy colors. Actually, they're just regular colors. So yeah. So we will. We'll kick off. What do you want to do? Kick off your faith journey.
Yeah, we'll do faith journey.
Okay. So we'll just start with the yellow and work our way down. We'll start with your faith journey. Or our faith journey.
Or both.
Or we'll find out about your faith journey when you write in the comments.
Yep.
So there's that. Check us out on Patreon. We are alive and kicking. You can get everything in one place now, which is
one-stop shop.
Cool. And you can also find, I haven't told a whole lot of people this, but you can also find, if you subscribe, you will get a 5-day devotional that goes along with similar, along the same topic of what we talk about. So I've been doing a 5-day devotional for that. So
yeah, it's good stuff. And before we go into our little break here, I do want to give a shout out to this guy. So if you are in the market for a custom tumbler, let me tell you something. Strider is the where to go, because I have seen what this man can do now, and it is beyond impressive. It's bad A. It is awesome. So if you are looking for a custom thing, he can do the full all the way around. It's impressive. He's did some for my wife's practice, and I've seen some other stuff, and it's all top-notch awesome stuff. So if you are in the market for that, I mean, he's your guy. Amongst with anything else, I mean, you're doing all kinds of different engravings and signs and stuff like that, and it's all really cool. So just wanted to give that shout, because, I mean, people are seeing them and they're going, hey, can we get some more of these things? And if you're one of those people that's like, man, I would love something awesome, boom, hit them up.
Yeah, I'll leave my information in the description. So
Yep.
Not in the any things I don't know how that stuff works on YouTube. So I'm pointing for those of you who are listening. I know that sounds dumb.
You don't get the full experience.
But if you're just listening, then you're missing out on the dorkiness of us.
The dorkiness of Derek.
Oh, thanks. Thank you. It was just me as a dork. Okay.
That's okay, both of us.
So thanks for that shout out. I'm excited to be doing it. So
yeah, it is awesome.
It's been a God blessing thing. So maybe someday we'll talk about that on here.
I think we should sometime.
Yeah, that'd be cool. So, all right. Well, welcome to the Truth Response. All right, I'll pray.
All right.
Lord, we just come to you today and just want to thank you for another day that we get to spend exploring the world that you created for us and for yourself. And I just pray that today's conversation, that it's guided by you 100%. The topics that we pick and the directions that we go. I pray that we just can follow you, and I pray that someone out there that is listening is needing to hear whatever it is that we talk about today, God. And I pray that that they then can take it to anybody else who needs to hear it, God. So I pray that your love and your mercy and your grace just pours out of us and somehow just can pour into everyone that hears it and everybody else that we come in contact with this week. And it's in your precious and holy name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
All right. Yellow's first, you said.
Yellow, yes.
So your faith journey.
Your faith journey. What does that one say?
Has your faith impacted your view of money, wealth, or worldly goods?
Oh, okay. Yeah,
So,
well, short answer, yeah.
That was really short.
That was a short
answer.
Yeah.
That was like a churchy answer. Yes.
Yes. Yes, it does.
Yes. No.
Well, I mean,
God, Jesus, Holy Spirit.
Yeah, it has, because
Love.
it's not about, like, the stronger my faith has grown, the more I see value in kingdom things versus earthly things. You know, it's funny because the other day I was driving down the road and I was talking to some of my kids about investing in the kingdom. I said, because they were asking me what I would do if they like throwing out random questions like, what would you do if you had $1 million or something? I can't remember exactly what it was, but I remember saying, I would love to invest in the kingdom. And they're like, what do you mean invest in the kingdom? And I was like, well, I would give to the church or different ministries, stuff like that. And they're like, my one son's like, I don't call that investing. You get a return on investments. I was like, I will get a return on my investment. I said, it's just not something here. I'm investing in what God's doing on this earth so that I can, be rewarded in heaven. I want to get there and hear, well done. That's what I want. It was a mind shift because, like, we get so caught up in the, how can we do things for ourselves here, and, people that play the stock market are just constantly looking for those gains, right? How can we gain money on this or that? And an investment for them is something that's going to make them more money, bring them more prosperity. And, it's just a different frame. To me, it got better the more I started to turn those things over to God, maybe.
I think the key in this one is to start with our view of wealth.
Yeah.
Because wealth or prosperity, as you said, like if you only think about it as money, then you're going to have a different view of worldly goods and money.
Yeah.
But I don't look at wealth that way. Like,
right.
I look at for instance, money is what it takes to get worldly goods, but worldly goods are just tools.
Yeah.
Right? That's what they are, is tools to means to get the wealth, right? Oh. So whether you can whether it's relaxing because we need that, right? We need to recoup. Whether it's, hey, I bought this video game system specifically so I could have my friends over and we could, like, I can share and witness to them, like those sorts of things. Like, I'm thinking, like, the things that I like to do, like Dungeons and Dragons, right? I have a group of people that come to my house every Saturday, right? And no, we don't necessarily, like, talk about Jesus all the time, but you see a little bit of them cleaning up. You see a lot of them thinking more about churchy things, and they're ready to be like, oh yeah, I want to go to that thing, and those sorts of things. So, like, I look at that stuff as for me, it's relaxing, right? But also as a tool to get that wealth of what God has for the world around us, right? So I think that wealth and prosperity, that what is that to you, is where you got to start when it comes to that shifting of your worldview of what that is.
Yeah, I think also, because you kind of touched on this a little, just slightly, but I think something also that helped was coming into appreciation of my blessings. So,
yes.
You know, for me, you know, when I start to realize, like, there are things that I have that I prayed for once. Like, I have a wife that is just phenomenal and a marriage that I never thought possible. And this is something I prayed for at one point in my life. And wow, what a blessing. I have 5 kids, and that is more than I even thought I was going to have.
Yeah.
And it's been a blessing. You know, not saying it's always been easy, but it's been a blessing. And it is so cool to be able to be a dad and have kids that are, you know, healthy and you know, I mean, they bring their own challenges, but, you know, just to be able to be there and do the things that we get to do. You know, I got a roof over my head. I've got cars to drive, and it's wild. You know, there's things that people can only pray for, and I have some of those things. And I don't want to lose sight of the fact that, man, I really am blessed. And the more I find, more I appreciate my blessings, the more content I feel.
Yeah.
You know, and the less, I mean, don't get me wrong. There's still things that, like, I have some ambitions and some things I'd like to do and stuff like that. But, like, sometimes I just like to take a look around and go, man, thank you for all of this stuff. And in those moments, I'm not yearning for, you know, crazy wealth or anything. I'm just like, I can't even believe I'm here, you know. And that's happened through the work that I do. It happens just from an experience with my kids or my wife, or just looking around when I'm at home and having a moment of peace. And it's like, wow, this is amazing, you know. And when you can focus on that more, then you can find contentment. And then, you know, the other stuff doesn't seem as important. You know, my students in youth ministry and student ministry, they some of them are still trying to figure out what the world's going to be in front of them. Some of them are, you know, I got to find a good job, I got to make some good money, and, you know, or I got to be in good shape, or whatever it is. And some of these things aren't bad, well, you know, by themselves. Like, if, you know, it's not bad for my students to want to find a good job or make a good life for themselves, or even be in really good shape. Like, that's not bad things, but, like, sometimes they make it the big thing, you know, and they miss that that's not, although those things can be good things and even sometimes important things, it's not the thing.
Right. You hit on the idea of, you know, I still have ambitions and whatnot, right? Like, I still have wants, like, and I still go after wants. Don't get me wrong. But when I don't get it, I'm not destroyed, right? Like, I'm not so let down that I'm distraught. I'm not, my worth is not in those things. And the not making a certain amount of money does not, you know, devastate me, because I know that God is faithful, right? Like, he's had me, well, he keeps not downgrading, because that sounds negative, but downgrading paychecks, right? He's been doing that. He's done that to me twice in a row now. I went from working a security job, making $19 an hour, to a food pantry job, like, making at the end it was $13.50, right, an hour. And now I work for myself and have spent more than I've made, right? So, like, but here's the thing. God hasn't changed my pocketbook.
Yeah, somehow.
Like, God has changed my pocketbook. Like, my pocketbook has not changed in doing this, right?
Yeah, somehow you're still making it.
Not somehow. It's all God. Like, I have zero doubt. Like, it's one of those things. It's just like, I trusted him the first time. It blew me away. And then this time it's like, wow, it's still the same. Like, same boat, man.
Yeah, I mean, if you go to any person and you say, hey, would you like to be a little more comfortable financially? And I doubt there's going to be most people around you go, yeah, I'd love to be. You know, it's nice to not, you know, take that worry down a notch. Would be great for anyone. But, like, it's not like, if you're getting, you know, if your bill's getting paid and you've got a house and above your head and you got food, I mean, that's quite a blessing. in itself. Sometimes I've actually gone back and forth with myself on, like, do I even want to aspire to have excess money? Like, is that going to take my eyes off God if that happens to me? And that's not trying to, like, I'm not trying to self-sabotage, or I'm not trying to try to sound more humble or more whatever pious than I am. It's just that sometimes it does, like, man, what would happen if that happened? Would I not rely on him like I do? You know,
Yeah.
These are questions that I've had, and the funny thing is I've come a long way with that, because, you know, back in the day, I used to. That was one of the things that I really had to learn, you know, to put into God's hands. It wasn't easy for me, and I learned the hard way. And so, to be with that point where things like that I consider is wild for me, to have those kind of thoughts, like, genuinely, and explore them, and, you know, try to also challenge myself to be willing to not freak out about losing things in my, even if something is simple. When it talks about, like, things outside of money, the worldly goods, there's things that I like, something simple. I'll have, like, a favorite coffee mug, and somehow it gets broken, or favorite glass or something like that. That stuff happens all the time. I bought, of all things, this cereal bowl thing, or super cereal bowl, whatever you eat in a bowl, right? And it had a cool handle on the side, and I really dug it. I found it at a Goodwill store, and I was like, this is awesome, and I took good care of it, and then it got broken the other day. It wasn't by me. I don't know who did it. And I was just like, of course, because I actually really liked this bowl. I don't know. And the funny thing is and it was really odd for me, because I realized why I loved it. I loved it because back when I was, living on my own and dirt poor, I didn't want to do excess dishes. So if I, like, cooked mac and cheese in a pot, I would just eat it out of the pot. I was
sure.
Like, one-stop shop. I know that sounds, for some of you might have been like, dude, that's crazy. And some of you might have gone, that's actually kind of genius. I don't know.
But if you do that at home, don't, because we can't condone that, because you could easily get burnt. I just want to put that out there.
I didn't sit there and write off the burner, right in my hand, but
I'm just saying, like,
yeah. So, but no, I would just, and it was kind of like that. It was like, oh, I get to, I don't know, it was strangely nostalgic is what it was. And but it's gone now. And those things, like, used to bother me way more.
You could heat stuff up in that, and, like, you don't have to hold the burning part.
Yeah,
right?
it was really cool.
Yeah.
I don't know, but it's gone. And maybe one day I'll find another one, but it's not really, that's not what's important. It's just kind of like, well, okay. You know, it's funny, when my wife and I, as the kids... the kids have broken so much stuff that, like, we joke with people. It's like, oh, you're thinking about having kids? You should take everything that you really like,
and then
everything that's expensive or really important to you, and you should either put it in storage until the kids are out of your house, or just break it and burn it.
Yeah, I was going to say, break it yourself. Make yourself one of those, what do they call them? The rooms with the... like, where you hit stuff and you break it. Yeah. Make yourself one of those out of everything that's your favorite. And then
just get it out of the way. Pull the Band-Aid off, man.
And then go ahead and have kids, and they're going to break the other stuff that you're getting. So.
Yeah. I mean, there's times where my wife and I are like, we talk about some stuff we'd love to get that are, like, nice. And we're like, yeah, we're going to wait.
Yeah.
One day we'll get nicer stuff, maybe. But it's not.
It makes a lot of sense now. Thinking back, like, my parents probably could have afforded the nicer stuff, and some things they did splurge on, but not a lot, not a lot at all. We didn't have a lot of money, but now I'm thinking, like, yeah, no, that makes a whole lot of sense. Like, we'll be able to buy that one day. It has nothing to do with money.
Yeah, it really doesn't.
Oh man, I never thought about that. That's
I see, like, really great cookware, and I like cooking, and so, like, I'll see some really nice stuff, and I'll be like, well, if I get that, though,
that metal spatula is going to get scratch the non-stick surface.
Dude, I can't tell you how many times
somebody's going to use a fork in that pot and scratch the surface.
It happened the other day. My daughter took out this nonstick thing that we got, and she's cooking eggs on it, and she's we see her trying to flip it with this metal spatula, and we're like, we got a plastic spatula just for this, like one of them silicone ones.
Yeah.
We have that for this reason. What are you doing? And then Sadie's like, how did you scramble those eggs? She's like, with a fork. And I was like, oh my gosh. This is what happens. So this is why we don't buy the nice stuff now. And we just kind of come to terms with that. And who knows? Maybe we'll never get the nice stuff. But
the conclusion to that is, sorry, Mom.
Yeah. Sorry. Sorry. Actually, one day, I'm not kidding. Many years ago now, I called my dad and I just apologized to him.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, what's going on? I said, I just want to say I'm sorry for all the times I borrowed your tools and didn't put them back. And he started laughing at me. I was like, no, seriously, because I was in my backyard picking up my hammer and this, and like I was finding all my tools like randomly spread out there. I was like, this is obviously my comeuppance, and I just want to say I'm sorry. And
yeah. Because I left my dad's drill in the bed of my truck for weeks one time. And in Missouri, it's not as often that you go weeks without rain.
Yeah.
It might have been longer than weeks. It might have been months. But it was rusted whenever I found it. But he got that bad boy to work. I'll tell you. I mean,
that's impressive.
My dad put up with a lot. No, in college, my very first week of college, right, I called my dad. And the first words out of my mouth were, you were right about everything.
Yeah.
And he just was like, I know.
No, there you go. That's dad for you. Yeah, I know. Yeah. It's fine. No, it's funny, but yeah, I did do that. I'm dead. I'm sorry, man. This is happening to me, and I'm pretty sure I did it to you. So
yeah.
But yeah.
That's crazy. All right, let's pull another one.
What's the next? Oh, green.
The world around us.
World around us. All right, let's pull. Let's see what this one says. Okay. Oh no.
Is it politics?
Nope.
Is it worse than politics?
This one says, oh man, brace yourselves, people. What do you think the Bible teaches about suicide?
Oh.
What should your response be as a Christian?
I can kick this one off. So I asked my senior pastor growing up the question, like what happens to people who commit suicide? And his response was incredibly enlightening. And that is the human mind in good working order and without anything, affecting it, will not kill itself. Mm-hmm. Self-preservation, just like every other animal there is. So he said that to say, like, there's something outside of that person that's affecting that person to choose that route. Mm-hmm. And in that, I found a lot of freedom in that. Mm-hmm. Because I've always struggled with depression. I've never tried to commit suicide, but I have always struggled with depression, and I've had a friend, I think only one of them actually died. I've had several try to commit suicide, but I had one friend who did, and I don't know, it's one of those things that we don't really know what went on between them and God, mm-hmm. and we don't know what kinds of things were affecting them that they didn't have control over. Mm-hmm. So that's my short of it. Is that we don't know what's affecting that person. Seeking help is the best route.
Yeah.
Right? If you're struggling with that.
Ultimately, I think that we can't know a lot of things for sure. I mean, on one hand, the Bible condemns murder, and self-murder can be considered murder, however, this world's so crazy now. There's so many things. People are under chemical dependencies. We call them pharmaceuticals, but sometimes they cause more psychosis than they help with.
100%.
That's a real thing. There's
or even just getting off of them.
Yeah, that too. But there's so many different elements, and of course we have. We're in a spiritual war where there are real spiritual forces trying to take us down. And ultimately, I think that, the Lord knows the true meanings behind everything, and it's within His and only His full discretion on how He judges each situation. Like
it's
for
fair
instance,
and just too. I mean, that's important.
Yeah, I mean, the way I would put it is this way, like, I don't think we're supposed to do that.
Right.
Honestly. I mean, that's an easy thing to say. But I mean, there's situations like, I'll talk about 3 different scenarios, right? Scenario number 1, somebody's got a lot going on and they don't put their eyes on Jesus, or maybe they take their eyes off of Jesus, and instead of trusting in God, they just decide this is it. Could they be condemned? Possibly. Should they be condemned? I mean, that's up to God once again, but maybe. Let's go to next scenario. We'll talk about a famous story about a guy named Judas who hung himself on a tree after he could not live with the guilt, and he was being influenced demonically at the time with the fact that he betrayed Jesus. I mean, we know that it says Satan entered into him. He was being affected by dark forces during that period of time. So, there are some that say, well, he absolutely did not get to go to heaven because he killed himself and committed a sin prior to Jesus' death and resurrection, so he was locked into the Old Testament code. Okay, maybe. But once again, we can't know that for sure, right? But we can understand. There's certain things we can understand. Under those 2 circumstances, we can understand. But also, let's talk about a third option. Not that we're looking to have options here, but let's think about 9/11. Okay, let's think about the people on the top of that tower. Prior to it even falling, there was no way for them to get down. And some of them threw themselves out windows because that option seemed better than what was about to happen, right? Some could say that's a version of suicide as well. They still made a choice. However, I think that was, to me, I mean, as a human, I see that as a reasonable thing to do, right? Maybe God takes that into consideration too.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I think the number one thing we need to try to do at all times is to put more trust in God as much as we can till the end. And, suicide is also taking some things into our own hands that maybe sometimes we don't need to. My dad used to describe it as a long-term solution to a short-term problem.
Yeah.
And it is. And so, continue to trust in God. Keep your eyes locked on Him. Things are going to get hard sometimes.
Yep.
Sometimes impossibly hard. But if you keep faith in God, and obviously there's going to be scenarios that, like, people are always going to bring up crazy scenarios like the 9/11 thing or all kinds of stuff. But, like, you got to keep your faith in Him, And if your eyes are locked on Him, suicide shouldn't seem like less of an option.
Yeah, and I just a reminder to think about the fact that, like, the God that you're being asked to trust in is outside of space and time. Mm-hmm. Try to think about that for just a moment, right? Mm-hmm. Like, what does that even mean and look like? Yeah, He knows. So if He can know and interact outside of space and time, like, just rely on His knowledge and His understanding. Lean not on your own, as Scripture says. Like, in all your ways acknowledge Him, and He'll direct you. It could be the hardest thing you've ever done, but He's going to direct your paths as long as you're relying on Him. So
yeah, things in this life do get hard, and mental statuses do get very bad, and people are susceptible to it being under attack from all kinds of things.
Sure.
These are real things.
Absolutely.
There's more mental health problems, it seems like, now than there's ever been.
Mm-hmm.
And
a lot of it's being caused by the mental health medicines that people are taking.
I'm
I
so
took some
cautious.
for a while, and it made me more anxious for the first 2 weeks
Then it
that I
helps you.
was taking it than it did anything.
Yeah. So, but the thing is like, I mean, these things are real. And here's what I would try to encourage anyone that's, I mean, reach out for help. Number one, there's so many people that want to help you and want to love on you. And so, I mean, obviously, this church is one of those churches, you know. Can I speak for every single one out there? No, but I can tell you this one is. And there's a lot of people that are willing to reach out and try to help you through whatever you're going through. But I do want to say this, and this sounds like a very church answer, but the God that loves you so much that even though sometimes we're in some places where there's no way out, and there's one of the worst things we can possibly imagine, and sometimes messes don't seem like they can be cleaned up, or consequences seem so bad, I want you to also think about the fact that this God who loves you put himself in a place far more precarious, because this is the God of the universe who put himself on a tree. He came down to be nailed to a tree and hung and go through what is one of the, if not the most excruciating types of death that has been invented by man. That being said, this God of the universe had the power to take himself down at any time. The problem is that if he'd have done that, it would have been detrimental to us. So God had a choice to make. He either goes through with the plan that he had and goes through all that pain, the most excruciating pain. That's where we get that word, by the way, is from the cross. Excruciating pain. And he had to see that plan to the end, or he had to destroy the world. That's going to be it. Because sin had to be dealt with. So he either made us a way out, or there is no way out. And so he stuck in there. He hung in there and took every second that he didn't have to take, because he loved you so much. And if a God can love you that much, then he can love you through anything.
Yeah. Yeah, and he's also a God of community.
Absolutely.
And so, second step, surround yourself with people that are in that loving community, because that's all anybody wants to do, really. I mean, that'd be great if that's all we had to do all the time, is just love on people. It would be wonderful. And we get to do that. You get to do that a lot. I mean, that is kind of your job, right? Like, that's kind of cool. I mean, there's
part of the job.
There's some stressful,
right?
There's some stressful bits, but I mean, seriously, that's all that. Especially in like you said, we can speak for our community here. Like, that's what we want to do, is just love on each other and help each other. Bible says, to help each other carry each other's burdens, and so that's what we're here for.
Yeah.
And and that extends to anybody that's listening, like from us.
Yeah.
Here to anybody that's listening. It doesn't matter where you're at. We can pray with you. We can talk with you. We can help you find what you need in your area, whatever that may look like. So we are by no means like stamped counselors or anything like that, but we are absolutely capable of helping love on you, for one, and two, helping you find what you need. So
sometimes some love and an encouraging word can go a long way, especially in a time where you can't see a way out. I've had some, and you've probably had, I mean, a lot of people have had people in their lives that they've known or even been close to. You hear about suicide, you encounter it one way or another, whether it is by hearing or by experiencing in some way. And, we should be careful not to try to judge too much in those situations. Like, I get it that it's something that nobody wants, and it hurts. It hurts a lot to know someone, and maybe even if you love someone so dearly. I know my wife had someone very close to her that chose that option, and it was so heartbreaking. Sometimes it feels like the people that get left behind hurt more than the person that go. But and I've had people that I knew, hung out with, that I felt like so many times, like, I wish I just could have known that they were that bad off. That but we can't beat ourselves up about that either. But, love people, man. Sometimes we don't know what they're going through. People put on brave faces until they can't anymore. And sometimes that is in a really dark place. If you, seriously, we're going to double down on this again, but if you find yourself in a place where you need help or you just can't, whatever it is, there are some dark places that life can get you, and you reach out. You need to reach out, and you're not alone in this world, and there is still hope. Our number one hope is Jesus, of course, but there's still hope. There's still ways, and there's still worse things that can happen. And so reach out.
Yeah, you can reach us at any of our social medias, but also at thetruthresponse@gmail.com, thetruthresponse@gmail.com. And yeah, I'm constantly checking emails and social medias, so I've got it. I will respond to your messages, and we'll help you get whatever it is that you need. Find the right person.
Yep.
To connect with. So, all right. Personal beliefs. We got at least time for one more. Ooh.
What you got?
Do you think that war is sinful? Why?
Oh, war is sinful. Well, the definition of war. So we're in a war, whether we like it or not. We're battling evil. We just already talked about it. We're battling evil forces every day, and they're coming. So in that sense, it's not a sinful war to fight against evil. You know what I mean? To try to stand up to it, abolish it, keep it from your life, to seek out the good versus the bad. Like that's a righteous war in itself. People, when it comes to like devaluing other people and making decisions on who should live versus who should die, I think that's when you start to enter into a sinful thing. Because like people do terrible things. Yeah. This is true.
A lot of why, right?
But there's a why and what's behind it. Right. What's truly behind it? Too many wars have been fought because this ruler or leader or dictator or whatever it is got its pride hurt or wanted something. They make a decision, so they kill off a bunch of their people because they're pawns to them.
Right.
That kind of war, I believe, for the leader is sinful. And I think, there's people that want to do it because of duty and honor. I don't think it's wrong to have duty or an honor. And then to defend one's family, to defend one's nation, I don't think that in it is inherently sinful to want to help protect. I don't think it is. I think it's a wonderful thing. We have so many people in our military today that they don't serve because they want to go kill people. They serve because they realize that they can help people. They can protect people, and they want to stand for what's right. And they don't want to see our nation taken over by wrong people, or they don't want to see terrorists come in and do some crazy stuff, or they don't want to see bad things happening around the world. And I think those are noble for sure. There are people that go about it the wrong way, though, for sure.
Yeah, obviously it's not a cookie cutter yes or no answer, because if you say no or yes, it's sinful, then
why is there so much war in the Bible?
Why did God approve of it? In the times that He sent people out for it. And I think you hit the nail on the head, man. Like right at the very beginning, it's the why. What's behind it? Why is this war happening? There's two sides or more to every story, right? Three sides to every story or more. So what's really behind it? Is there a difference in murdering and killing someone? Because murder is usually that malicious, intent where, you can kill somebody without malicious intent, like.
These are true things. A lot of what the Bible teaches us I mean, from the front to the back. Besides, of course, the number one thing it teaches us is Jesus, but Jesus even talked a lot about heart condition. Jesus responded to people and told them things according to their heart condition. Read John chapter 2, the end of it. It talks about that he revealed things basically based on their heart condition, which made the next story, which is Nicodemus, that much more amazing to me. And tells you a lot about Nicodemus's heart condition. But, we get so wrapped up in things that we have no business getting wrapped up in, and we get distracted by things. I mean, our heart, the reason behind things is a big deal. If you know something's wrong and you're doing it anyway, you got a heart condition problem.
Yeah.
If you're standing up for what is right because you honestly believe it's right and that's your intention, then that's less of a heart condition. That's conviction. And so that is, there's always these thin lines between some of these things sometimes. And, people over the course of history, many people have died for stupid ideas and for selfish ambitions and all kinds of things. But some of those people that fought may not have been fighting with the wrong heart. And some of those people that died maybe not have died with the wrong heart, or maybe some of them did die that had terrible things in their heart. I don't know. I mean, obviously, once again, it goes back to the thing that we ultimately aren't the judge, and we can't ultimately know everything. We're not God. And so do I think that we should be avoiding it? We're called to be peacekeepers. We're called to be those who are trying to preserve life as well as God's kingdom, which means we're trying to be the salt that helps preserve life around us and helps God's word stay in the daily life of this world. And so, as nations, we want to try to be peacekeepers. We want to be people that want to protect life and see the value in other human beings. We don't want to devalue other human beings. And it's easy to do. It really is. I mean, all it takes is enough anger or sorrow, and then point the finger
or greed. Doesn't even take sorrow or anger. I mean,
and these things, we want to try to find ways to reach them. Now, because there's such evil in the world that's getting driven, no doubt, by those evil forces, sometimes these things happen, and should you be prepared for it? Yes. I mean, it is what it is. But it doesn't mean that we have to be searching for it at the same time. War sucks, and it's never a good thing. In the Bible, I don't think. I mean, there's plenty of times where wars happen and battles happen, and it's not something that should be celebrated all that much. There's reasons behind the stories.
Yeah.
When you think about,
it's not always like we talk about the Bible as an instruction manual. And I think that people misunderstand that a lot of times when it comes to a lot of these things that we're talking about. Because, it's not God's telling us to go and fight these wars just like these people did, just like he told these people to. God had them do that for a specific time, for a specific purpose, right? And I think that we got to be careful with reading too much into the word as well. And I think that whenever it comes to war, most of the time, I mean, a lot of the time, God took care of it himself anyways. I mean, he had whole armies turn on their own encampment, and mass chaos. He's done all kinds of stuff to prevent anybody from being able to say, yeah, we had a hand in this. So, think about Jericho.
Yeah. Well, Jericho is a good one, but also you have just the Exodus. You had an army that got swept away.
Yeah.
During the Exodus, and it's not necessarily something they celebrate. They celebrate freedom, but they don't celebrate the destruction of the Egyptians.
Right.
And that's a big difference that people miss.
Yeah.
At no point were they like, oh, I'm so glad God killed all those people. It was more like, well, I'm glad we're free. It's terrible that had to happen.
Well, in fact, they were like, man, at one point they were like, this is rough. We at least knew, what was going to happen in Egypt. We
Yeah.
could go back there.
Yeah.
So, and that was after the whole getting swept away thing. So
Yeah, I mean, so, it's, and I saw something about some rabbis to this day when they go through their processes and prayers like that. Sometimes if they have wine, they'll pour out a little bit just to remember that, something terrible sometimes happens like that, and it's not something that we celebrate. And I really got appreciation for that kind of thing, where it's like, let's keep ourselves humble. It's not we're no greater than them. This is something that happened, and it's unfortunate it happened to them, but they walked into that with the wrong the wrong heart. There's a lot of that in the Bible where consequences come because people, the way we say it now is you play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Sometimes consequences have to come.
Yeah.
And so, it's not, we don't celebrate that, So like I said, it's just about, a lot of it's heart condition and the why. But a lot of things are the why, but yeah.
Yeah. A lot of things.
Yeah.
All right, let's hop to the last one real quick. We got 15 or so minutes.
Ooh. Bible truths. Let's pull.
Oh yeah, Bible truths is the topic or the category.
We talked about this last time a little bit. So what does the bread represent in the Lord's Supper in communion?
Well, that's an easy one. It's the body of Christ.
Yeah. And
it being broken for the world. Okay, so this is slightly off topic, right?
So on these cards, there's an answer on the bottom. You almost get word for word.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess the thing I was going to say would be better for a different time. So, yeah, that's easy.
It's fairly easy. The bread represents the body of Christ that was broken. He said it himself. And so, there's there are people that want to take that into extreme places.
That's what I was going to ask you next was
your
views on that.
I think, let me put it this way. Okay, all right. So the number one thing that I focus on is that this is something the Lord told us to do, and He told us why. Okay, so with those two things, He told us to do it, so I'm going to do it. He told us why, to remember Him, to remember what He did for us. Easy enough. That's really the basis of this. That's why we're doing it. This is, I think I said this last time, but this is the new Passover meal. This is God could have put the sentence of sin on us and kept it there, but instead He gave us a way. This is our blood on the doorway. This is our way out. This is our safety from the death that is to come. And so we do this as they did the Passover meal and celebration in remembrance of what happened for them. We do this in remembrance of what Jesus did. Yeah. Now, what you're talking about and insinuating is like those people who are like, well, this is the actual body. When we take, then we break the bread, and that becomes the actual flesh of Jesus. Like it's no longer bread. This is human flesh, specifically Jesus's. And then you have those who are like, no, it's just a symbol it's represented to. Now, that being said,
my initial gut reaction to that concept is flesh tastes like styrofoam sometimes. But
wow. Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like it. Well, and that could lead somebody. No, seriously though. But that could lead somebody into thinking, well, if it just tastes like styrofoam to me, like, am I being faithful enough to this? Like, this could send somebody down a rabbit hole.
It could send you down rabbit holes. There's one of the things that I talked to someone and was talking that they believe it is going to turn into the flesh. That it's like, well, Jesus did say, if you don't eat of my flesh and drink of my blood, then. But the thing is that it could still be a representation. I don't think it's something that we need to be fighting about, so to speak. I go back to the original too.
Well, but even that phrase, like the reason he said that was because the only reason they were following him was because he was feeding them. And so it was one of those things that was like...
But the thing is that
it's a slap in the face.
In that case, you got to look past what you're eating and the reason you're eating it, which is that we're remembering that Christ did this. And when you do that, you're accepting that that's what he did for you. You're accepting his sacrifice for you in that. You're saying, I follow Jesus, and he did this for me, and he is my Lord, and he told me to do this, so I'm going to do this, kind of thing. So at the core of it, if that's at the core of it, to me, like if you really want to believe it turns into the flesh, if that's like, okay. If you want to say it's just a representation, okay. But if you're doing either one, because this is what Jesus told me to do, and this is why he told me to do it, and and that is real for you, that part on why, then you're doing it right. That's where I'm at.
Cool. I can get down with that. That's. There you go. Look at that.
Yeah, you was like word for word. It was crazy.
So, all right.
We had another round of our random cards.
Conclusion. We talked about, has your faith impacted your money or your view of money, wealth, or worldly goods? What do you think the Bible teaches about suicide? What should your response be as a Christian? Do you think that war is sinful, and why? And what does the bread represent in the Lord's Supper / communion? If you have thoughts, opinions about this, we're wrong, we're right, whatever, let us know. Leave some comments.
Yeah,
I actually read them, and I know that that's one of those things that most people say don't do that, but I actually do because I enjoy it.
It's okay. Make the comments.
Yeah. Hey, either way, too. Like, I'm excited to read them.
Yeah,
good or bad.
Also, hey, if you're just like, hey, you know what? If you don't have something you want to add to or take away from either one of those subjects, I'd also love to hear which subject you love the most. Like when we do these, if you're like, man, if you had a favorite part of those 4 cards, if you really love the first one, second one, third one, fourth one, whatever it is, if you're like, man, that one was my favorite one you guys did that day, that would be great. We love hearing that stuff.
Yeah.
Or hey, I think that you did fine in these, but this one's the one I think that you lack. Do that too. I don't care. But we love to hear your feedback. We love just hearing you and interacting with you in that way. Obviously, you can do that to us in person if you're nearby or stuff like that. But yeah, put the comments up there. Let people see that this is something you liked or something you didn't like or whatever it is. We once again when you comment on it, it definitely helps because of the way these computer systems are set up. It sets an algorithm that when you make comments, it makes our video more viewable. More people can see it. It comes up more frequently into stuff you might know. So if somebody likes something like it and you've liked something that they've liked, something like that, it's all how it works together. It's amazing and it helps it get out there. And so especially if there's something in here that you really liked and you thought, hey, man, this is great. People might want to hear this. Let's get it out there. And number one, let us know you loved it. Help it get out there. Of course, share it. You can always share it with new people or somebody that if somebody comes to mind, put it out there. Especially if there's something that you find is really helpful, insightful, maybe even comforting. Who knows? We'd love that too.
Yeah. And don't forget, we got a Patreon where everything is posted, not just the perks, but also just every episode is posted on there. Yep. So check it out. Tell us what we could improve on. We're here for that. Yeah. And if you got topics, we would love to know what questions you want to hear about.
We need your questions.
Don't be afraid to ask the question because we're not afraid to answer. God bless.